Good morning, UFO guys. Thank you so much for being here. I am super excited because we got him. We've got James Fox. Thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you doing this morning, sir? All the way in Brazil.
Doing well. It's been a busy time over here. We're just continue to chase this story down.
Yeah, I've been seeing you on Twitter. You guys are walking around, going on some adventures. And it's just super exciting that the film has been released. It's day 2 of the film being released, right?
I think it's day 1. I think it came out today.
Day 1. Look at me. Yeah. I'm so lucky. Oh my gosh. Well, so made you decide to make this? Because I know you have the testimony now from the neurosurgeon. So what made you decide to release this documentary now? I mean, I know so many things are going on right now with UFOs.
Yeah. I remember sitting with Stanton Friedman years ago, probably 15, 16 years ago, in a place called Peruíbe in Brazil. And I had dismissed this so-called the Roswell of Brazil for well over a decade. I refused to even look into it. And Stanton is like, oh yeah, this is, and obviously, Stanton Friedman, he because of him and a handful of others, we know about Roswell. And so I have tremendous respect. And he's was he a nuclear physicist, I believe, nuclear scientist. And he was like, oh yeah, you should look into Varginha. And so I reluctantly started to look into the case back then. And since then, and then I was going to include this case in a film I did called The Phenomenon, along with many other cases, Socorro and Rua and in China. Just kind of wanted to demonstrate the global nature of the phenomenon. And I ultimately decided there wasn't enough evidence. It was a complex story. We needed more firsthand eyewitness testimony to come out. And the reason why I'm rambling on about this is because it's been a slow, long journey on this particular case, because the more I dig, the more we find. And ultimately, I scrapped the entire segment from The Phenomenon because I felt like it just needed, I probably could dedicate an entire movie to it. So when I finished The Phenomenon, I stuck my teeth into this case. And when we released the first version of Moment of Contact, we hadn't had all those congressional hearings. We hadn't heard from like the likes of David Grush and others about an alleged crash retrieval program. People hadn't, like, there was very little light shed on there. Yeah, there's been talk about Roswell and Kecksburg and Kingman, but not at that level. So, and also, so the film came out, I think it was in the earlier version, the first version, I think it was like 2022. And then we had these incredible congressional hearings and all these developments on the American side. And then the serious nature of our investigation and the way we treated the alleged case in Varginha, I think encouraged more people to come forward, right? So we went back to Brazil a number of times. I mean, I've been here 3 times this year alone. And for instance, the forensic pathologist, my partner, Marco Leal, had gotten in touch with Dr. Giannini, who studied the tissue samples from the alleged, military officer who died from allegedly getting a scratch from this creature. And then the guy that did the autopsy, then the chief of police, Pedro Aguiar, and then ultimately led us to Dr. Italo, who's the head neurosurgeon at Regional Hospital, for the first time in history, saying, I had face-to-face contact with a live alien in captivity at the hospital and communicated with it telepathically for between 3 and 4 minutes. So all this new information, coupled with everything that's happened in the United States with all the 4 congressional hearings, I decided to completely revisit the case and the movie, completely redo it, which I did with Out of the Blue years and years and years ago, and then re-release it because I felt like perhaps maybe it was a little premature when it came out. I don't know. So that's kind of what led me to, and it's more than a director's cut. We have an entire new intro. It's all on the American side. We give various examples of previous cases dating back to 1933, Magenta and Roswell and Kingman and Kecksburg and the landing at Bentwaters, just to kind of give like an example, like as extraordinary as these allegations are, it's not the first time, right? It's not unprecedented. This has been going on for decades. So, and then, yeah, so we just recut the movie, completely revamped it, and we're really, and it's been released today. So we'll see how, a more mainstream audience receives it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think you picked a perfect time to release it now that we have all these other movies and the politicians and David Grush coming out and talking about it, specifically about the alien biologics, which is one reason it's like a running joke with me and the friends on the internet and the people who watch the show, is that we want the bodies and the craft. And so the honed in that you've done with the Varginha, Brazil aliens and 3 girls seeing them and now being totally, so you have the neuroscientist. So what do you think made him decide to come forward? Do you think any of the stuff going on right now maybe encouraged him to come forward to talk about it? Or have you always kind of been in communication and he's been ready to go?
No, we have people that we've been working with very discreetly off the record that we meet with that have connections in the various hospitals. And so we meet off the record and they are like, you should talk to this doctor. And I have word that this doctor had seen, and this guy probably saw the video, kind of thing. And so we approached Dr. Italo over a year ago, but we approached him because we'd heard that he was shown the video. And obviously our primary goal is to get our hands on the video. Excuse me. And he admitted on camera that he'd seen the video. I didn't ask him if he'd seen the creature face to face because I was just thinking about the video. I was going after the video. My partner, Marco Leal, did, and he denied it, that having seen the creature himself, that he only saw the video of the creature. Well, after that happened, he had a heart attack and then he got prostate cancer. And he said that he was staring at the ceiling in the ICU thinking, I can't take this to the grave. And he decided that if I survive, I'm going to come forward with this. And his fellow neurosurgeon that he worked with, this guy named Marcus Vinicius, he died of a heart attack in 2018. So he took his side of the story to the grave. And I guess Italo decided, despite the potential consequences, he was going to come forward no matter what. And so he was a bit like trying to grab a bar of soap in the bathtub for the last, I don't know, ever since we got him on the first admission that he'd seen the video, but didn't admit that he'd seen the creature. He was being very hard to pin down, very, very hard. Like he wanted to come forward, but he was like, probably thinking about the consequences, probably thinking about his job, probably thinking about people that he's going to perform brain surgery on, don't want, their surgeon to talk of aliens and, communication, you know what I mean? Like, but we ended up talking to the 2 forensic pathologists. Dr. Armando reached out to him on our behalf earlier this year, and he agreed to meet us at the back gate of the regional hospital. And then the rest is history. And he just said, this is what happened. And he also said that, I'm willing to take, first of all, he hasn't asked for a dime. Okay. And he's also, this guy's got everything to lose, nothing to gain. He's willing to take a public polygraph and his right hand on a Bible. So, and then I've been interviewing all the doctors that he's worked with for over 30 years, well over 30 years, all of them on camera just recently. They all say, if Dr. Italo says that happened, we believe him.
Oh, wow. And that's part of it, is finding the people who actually have seen the alien, which, and then to have that sort of authority and to be so, respected in your community by people that they're listening to you. Yeah. And we have David Grush talking about the bodies. David Grush talking about the bodies. And here you are telling me you're talking to people, and I get excited, James. This is why I watch every James Fox movie, because you are in connection and you are in this buzz that's going on. What do you like? What can you tell us about this buzz that you hear about the bodies? Like, if there's anybody I think about who's trying to get close to the bodies, honestly, James, it's you.
Well, I can say I know I hear frustration within the community, and I feel it, that there's all these allegations. Where's the evidence? There's all these witnesses. Where are the photographs? Where's the video? Where did the body end up? I can just say to the entire community that there's no one on the planet trying harder to get my hands on that evidence than me and our team. We're literally knocking on doors. We've got names. We're doorstepping people. We're within the medical community, getting to know their wives, their families, their daughters, their sons, having dinners with them. And I don't know. There's just nobody out there trying harder to get my hands on that evidence than our team, I can assure you. So we'll see what happens.
I love it so much. Yeah, I've interviewed quite a bit of people with the alien implants, and so my hope is one day I can get some of these implants that Dr. Lear, they're somewhere right now. They're in someone's. So I have a fantasy, because I do some work here at the National UFO Historical Record Center. I'm a volunteer in Albuquerque at this UFO Record Center. But yeah, that my work, I'm very inspired by what you do all the time because of this. Because I do know, it's just funny that you say it laughing. You're like, if there's one person, who's trying to find it, it's James Fox. And that's also what I was just so happy to sit down and talk with you about. I feel like you're one of, when I've been obsessed with this forever. And I feel like in the spectrum of all the movies and stuff that comes out, yours is one, the phenomenon, mainstream media. I feel like that movie pushed through so much to the mainstream media. And my question to you is, what do you think about this information that's coming from mainstream media, from documentaries like yours and maybe others, with the congressional hearings? I think that these movies are important. And as they come out, what do you hope happens with your movies? What influence it could have on the disclosure process?
I think the first cut in 2022 of Moment of Contact, I'm told, had a big impact on members of Congress, because I remember Lou Elizondo reaching out to me and saying, I need a copy of the crash retrieval case in Brazil, of the movie. I said, Lou, the film's not done yet. He goes, I don't care. Just in any version you've got, I need it. I was thinking to myself, really, what's going on? He goes, you don't know who is who I'm showing this to. And maybe it had more of an effect internally than it did externally. I don't know. I think everybody's efforts are making an impact, and look at Age of Disclosure that Dan Farr produced with Lou Elizondo. I mean, you've got, and I hear people within the UFO community, oh, I didn't learn anything new. It's not for us. That film was not for us. That film, you think about it, they're talking crash retrievals, technology, biology, all that stuff at the highest levels of government ever before in history. I mean, it's a historic moment, the congressional hearings that are happening, all the various films that are being released. So I think all of it's helping, and I don't know, we're living in interesting times, and we just have to see where it's all going. I'm going to do all I can on my end to continue this, this momentum.
Right. Because I mean, it's such a fun topic, but then at the same time, it's interesting how this topic has changed so much, because there was a time when, politicians didn't even talk about it. But when it comes to the real serious nature of this topic, right? And you, with your research that you've done, when I talk with people and I try to tell them it's incidents and events that I think truly happened, the sad police officer who picked up the alien body, and then something happened to him 60 days later and he passed, and they wouldn't give him the reports, right? the hospital asked for payment for the family to get the reports, and then there were parts missing.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think it was just a few weeks. He passed within just a few weeks. It might have been 2 to 4 weeks. Yeah. I mean, you know, we have a lot more information on that, and I think there's a lot more information going to come out. We got the 30th anniversary happening next month. There's going to be a big event there. We're in touch with the mayor, other various people in the town. I don't know. I think this could be the beginning of the beginning. I think this could be the case to finally settle this issue once and for all. I can't think of a better, more well documented and compelling crash retrieval case. I don't know, than this. I think it's the best one. I really do. I know there are lots of them, but this one's really, really good. Most of the times you hear about these cases in the middle of the desert, right? Like Roswell or Kingman, or, you know, but this happened in town, man. Like, you know, there are so many people every day. You just go walk to the streets of Varginha and you ask questions, and people are like, "Oh, I saw the military activity. Oh, I was here for that. Now I saw, you know, my cousin." You know, everybody. A lot of people have a little piece of it. A lot of people in this town.
Yeah. And I think that's also what kind of like drives me into the topic. So many of my friends, like their grandmas were around when Roswell happened. It's just like it's like a cultural consciousness, like the consciousness of the city still alive in some people, and they're talking about this experience. And the same with Varginha. And what's fascinating to me is in your documentary, with the first moment of contact, you talked about the alien bodies being put in steel boxes at some point and being shipped back to America on a jet. And I always thought that like that fits in with so much of what's going on, because there's some talk about the bodies being put in coffins in Roswell, but it always was very interesting because they found 3 receipts for 3 tiny coffins in Roswell, kind of like a weird side thing. But what I'm saying is it seems very realistic that they would put the alien bodies in metal boxes and that the Americans came and take them. That was part of the interviews that you did in the first one. Do you think America has the alien bodies from Brazil?
Well, we did a FOIA request because I was working with a former colonel of the United States Air Force after the first version of the film was released. And so we did a FOIA request for all incoming flights into the region between a certain specific dates, like the 15th to the 15th of January to like the 25th. So we can just cover, you know, that whole period. And we got a response 3 years later from the CIA, basically saying those records are classified or not. We couldn't get access to it. They wouldn't allow that. And then we have the flight control officers, you know, the people that monitor all the incoming flights into Brazil came forward and said, yeah, the USAF came in Campinas. Every single military and person that we have interviewed said that the Americans came in. They all heard that. Into Campinas. In Campinas, we have testimony of the people that drove the bodies to Campinas. So, yeah, I'm pretty convinced the Americans came and grabbed the goodies and left. Then the case goes cold from there. So I don't know.
What body, like, oh my gosh, because with Grush talking about the alien biologics, that's the part that's really just coming out of nowhere. And now they're saying it on Fox News.
I don't know. It's a complex issue, much more complex than I'd ever previously imagined. Yeah.
What do you think of the Nazca mummies?
No idea. I've known nothing. I've heard very little. I've been so busy making my last couple docs. I think it sounds interesting. I know Jesse Michaels did a deep dive. I haven't watched the episode yet, but it sounds, I mean, they're very intelligent people. I think there's something to it. So maybe there is, but I don't know. Personally, I haven't looked into it, so I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so you've done this whole new documentary. You've like done another, you know, you're doing the deep dive, we're pushing with Congress and all of this. From what you've done with all of your research with the Varginha Brazil, what is the most You've done a crazy deep dive on all of it. Yeah, I think so. Just a little bit. Okay, but yeah, you've done a crazy. Yes, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Such a wild ride these last few days. It is just so much fun talking with you. Yeah, no, but I'm just really excited for your documentary to come out. Wanted to say, you know, thank you so much for coming on my show, jumping on my show. I just really appreciate it. And I want to let everybody know, you know, you gotta go check out the new documentary. It's available on Amazon, on all of the like the streaming platforms. And James, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you again.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.